Hey everybody, Sean Tierney here from the Automation Blog and School. Happy New Year to you all. In this episode of the Automation Show, we're going to take a look at IFM's HMI controller, the EcoMat. And honestly, this is the first combination PLC HMI that I've ever used, even though they've been out for a while. And I think we're the first ones to get our hands on this particular unit in the press, so kind of excited to take a look at it. It's also the first PLC that programs with CODESYS that I've ever used, so a lot of learning on my side to get up to speed and be able to show you how this works. And we'll actually start with unboxing it, and then we'll go through setting IP addresses. I got some of the IFM devices up there on Ethernet. We'll connect to those, set those IP addresses, and then we'll go through getting CODESYS set up, using it, and programming this and downloading to it. So we'll do all that today. And I know that's a lot, and it's a lot of things to consider. Just like there's a lot of products in the tab store, including coffee cups, t-shirts, and video collections. Okay, so what I got up on the screen right now is some footage I took when the unit first came in. And here you can see the box that the unit came in. And if we take a look at the label on the side of the box, you'll see after I zoom in here that this is a CR1203. That's the model number. And it's an EcoMat display. It's a 12-inch with touchscreen. So keep all that in mind. We'll need that information as we go a little bit later in this show. Now, once we get it open, we can see the good folks at IFM have already set up a wiring harness for me, which is much appreciated. And then if we take a look in here, we can see we have some documentation. And if we put that one side, we can see that the display is in this protective cardboard sleeve. And I'll fast forward here, and after I get it out, we can see the screen. It actually is a very good looking unit. And it does have this protective covering over the top of it, which I'm going to leave on right now, but I'll take it off when we get into the actual programming. Now here on the back, one thing I want to point out is you can see that this unit is completely sealed, so it can go right on the side of the machine. It does not have to be mounted in a cutout in a panel. So with that, I also wanted to show you the stand they sent with it. You can see this ball attachment connects to the display with 3 bolts. I assuming you'd typically use 4, but there was only 3 in the box for some reason. And then once I get that all screwed in, I'll attach the arm to the display. And I'll squeeze it to bend it down here so I can put in the stand. So I'll slip the stand in like this, and we'll tighten it up, and we'll be good to go. And I got to say, I think this stand is great if you're just working on your bench or desk and you're trying to program it and getting it ready. I guess you could bolt the stand down in the field too if you wanted to. But in any case, one of the things with this stand is that it's not designed to have the screen at a 90-degree angle so you can catch an overhead camera. So what I'll actually do is put a little box under it to keep it from tipping over, because when you bend it over too far, it does get a little top heavy. All right, so the next thing I got to do here is power it up and set its IP address. So I'll do that. I'll connect the power right here, and after it boots up and the camera adjusts for the distance and brightness, I'll go ahead and zoom in. And in the recovery app, we'll go into the network settings. And you can see by default, this has an address of 192.168.82.247. And you really can't change that without plugging in a USB keyboard. And if you just click on these boxes, you don't get a pop-up keyboard. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set that channel for DHCP so I can connect to it from my computer. I don't want to have to change my computer to match this. So I'll set this as DHCP. It'll get an IP address from my router, and then we'll be able to connect from the PC. So now that my EcoMat display has an IP address, the next step is to give IP addresses to my 2 IFM Ethernet IP IO Link masters. And to do that, I need to download a free utility from the IFM website. So let's go over to the computer and do that. All right, so the first thing we want to do here is go to IFM. And we will say United States, English. We'll be back here a couple more times. And we want to search for the units I have are AL1322s. So I'll select that. And then I'm going to scroll down here to downloads. And I'm going to go all the way down here to configuration tools. They have a couple different ones here. I'm just going to choose the first one and I'll download it. Okay, here we need to create, for first-time customers, you actually have to go through and create your account. I've already done so, so let me log in and I'll be right back. Okay, now it's asking me if I want to accept the general terms and conditions. Yes, I do. And here we'll save the file. I already have a folder here on my desktop for IFM stuff. Okay, so we'll save it in there. Okay, now I'm going to do open folder. Here I'll right click and I'll unzip it. Extract all, yes. Okay, then I'll run the installation wizard. Next, accept, next, install. Yes, I really want to do this. Finish. So I really want to get that shortcut to my desktop. So let's see if we can go into the stop menu. It should be under H. I'm going to right click and do open file location. And then I will copy it to my desktop. And let me close all these windows here. Okay, so let's go ahead and open it up here. And I'll click on Search Devices. And I will check that checkbox and click on Allow Access. And here we can see that it is searching for my devices. And it looks like it found both of them. Let me go ahead and open up some of these fields here, make them wider. And what we're going to want to do is give addresses. Let me make that wider too. Give each of these devices an address. We're only going to use one, but I want to give addresses, Ethernet addresses, IP addresses to both. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and select the first one in the list. And I'm going to come down here to Configure. And I'm going to click on Set IP Address. And then what I want to put in is 192.168.1.124. And then I'll put in 255.255.250 and click on OK. And then we'll do the second one. And we'll come down here to Configure, Set IP Address. And here it's all zeros. We'll put 192.168.1.125. And then we'll put in 255.255.250. And so now we can see both our devices are happy, they're green, and their addresses are set. Okay, now that we have the IP address set in the EcoMat display and on the IO-Link master, we're ready to go download the software we'll need to actually program the device and connect to our I/O. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll start by going over to ifm.com. Okay, I'll choose USA. Okay, here I'm going to search on the CR1203. Well, after I accept this little notice about cookies, we'll search on that guy. All right, and there he is. And here, if we go to downloads, we'll see two of the downloads we need. The first we'll need is the programming software, and that is CODESYS. And this is the version that is supported by IFM, so I'll download it. Okay, now it's asking me to accept the terms and conditions and confirm download. Okay, that started. You can see it coming in down here. So the next download I want is the package, the software package that you will load into CODESYS that'll let it recognize the EcoMat display. So let me go ahead and click download here. You can see that's coming in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut ahead until both of these packages are downloaded, unzipped, and I'm going to go ahead and install the CODESYS software because that actually takes a little while. So I'll be right back. Okay, here you can see I have both packages downloaded and unzipped, and in one I have an install file, and in the other I have the package file for CODESYS, all about the EcoMat display, right? So I went ahead and ran the install for the CODESYS. It's installed, and I've actually just opened it up. And really the first step is we have to let CODESYS know what an EcoMat display is. We have to load the package for that EcoMat display into CODESYS. So let's go ahead and do that by going to Tools, Package Manager, and we'll click on Install. And then I'll browse to my desktop and the unzipped version, and here it is right here. So let me go ahead and open that up. It says you have to check I've read and accept all the agreements. We'll go to next. I'm just going to do typical, next. And yes, I really want to do this. And this also takes a couple of minutes, so I'll go ahead and fast forward here to the end. All right, it says it's installed. So let me do next and finish. Okay, you can see it right there. All right, so now let's go ahead and create our first project for the display. So I'll do new project. All right, I'm going to go here to EcoMat display. I'm going to choose the EcoMat display 12-inch 3x1 wide. That's the unit I have. And I'm going to make the name here the Automation show S2E2, which I'll make available to everybody in the Season 2 file download. And I'm going to click on OK. Okay, now we can see some things here. We can see that I have a program here listed under tasks, and that program is also right here. You can see in that program I have some IFM device code that I'm not going to change. That's default with the template. And you can come over here and see the default screen here, which will display when I download the project. Now, what we need to do here is we need to first, let's get our communication set up to our I/O. So I'm going to expand communications, and here I'm going to right click on Ethernet and I'm going to add a device. And the device I'm going to add is an adapter. I know this might seem a little backwards, but I'm going to add the adapter first. And I'm going to leave the default name. So let me go ahead and add device. Okay, and now underneath that adapter, I'm going to add a scanner. Okay. Now underneath that scanner, I want to add my AL1322. But you'll notice I have it selected. It's not in the list. And that's because I haven't added the files for it. So let me go ahead and close that. Let's minimize CODESYS. Let me go over to the IFM website. And we will go back to the main website here. Choose English again. And let me search on the AL1322. Okay, here it is. So let me click on that. And I want downloads. And what I'm looking is not the startup package. In fact, I want to warn you, do not use the IFM CR1203 startup package. It has some great videos and files in it, none of which will work. Trust me, I tried them all. They won't work. So stay away from that bad boy. In any case, what we're looking for here are the EDS files, right? The description files. So let me go ahead and download these. Okay. Show in folder. Extract all. And I'll minimize that. Here they are. Let me just move them to the desktop here to make my life easy. Okay, and we'll go back to CODESYS. Let me go ahead and close this display here, close that program. And to add a device, we're going to go up to Tools. We're going to go to Device Repository. Okay, we're going to install. We're going to go to Desktop here. Where's the new one? Here, the description files or EDS files. Now you can see there's multiple. This is like a mini bundle. I'm just going to add them all. Even though I only have the 1322, it doesn't hurt. Could save me time in the future. Okay, now let's see if we can add my IO Link master. Add device. And I am looking for, let's come over here. See if we can find 1322. Yep, so I know it's a little tricky. You come all the way to the right to know which one you're looking at. The part number, right on the front of the unit is not here in the main description, which is a shame, but hey, we figured it out. So we're going to go ahead and add that device. Now, before I hit add device, I'm going to do something here that I learned the hard way. It's easier to change the name here when you first add it than to have to change it after the fact. So I will just call this IO Link M1 for Master 1. Nice and short. Beautiful. Now we'll add the device. Okay. Now I don't need to add anything else. I'm going to close. I'm going to double click on this guy. And you can see this is a default address. We actually have ours set up as 1. And the one that I'm going to be using is 125. And that's good. I can, if I want to, come over here to Ethernet mapping and expand this and go ahead and put some tag names in here. I could put input. Well, maybe I'll call, we'll just call it input. And come down here to the outputs and we'll just call it output. Okay, so you can come in here and document all of these addresses, right? These absolute addresses in the device. All right, but one thing I do want to do here, and it comes down to here on the right-hand side, you see it says always update variables. I'm going to set this, they recommend that you set it to enable 2. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do because that's their recommendation. Okay, so with that done, what I'm going to do is come over here to the scanner. Take a look at its setup. See, there's nothing much there. I'll come up here to the Ethernet adapter, and he can see this address. This is not the address we want to use. Our address is actually 1.123. That's the address of our EcoMat display. And the network interface, this is like the channel in the device. I know that I don't have the gateway configured, so I can't select that, but that's very important, right? Because the device has more than one Ethernet channel. So I need to make sure I choose the right one. So to do that, I'm going to come up here to Device, double click on it. I'm going to go to Scan Network, and you can see it's scanning. It's already found my device out there. We'll let it finish scanning. Okay, and then I will choose my device. Okay, you can see I put it over here. Now another way to do this is just to type in the IP address right in this window as well. But with that done, what I'm going to do is come back down to my Ethernet adapter, hit the ellipsis button here and choose BR0. You see, 1.123. That's the Ethernet channel I want to use for this adapter. Okay, so that's very important because this adapter by default isn't assigned to anything. So we need to assign it to the right channel, the channel that we're going to be using. And with that, I'm kind of thinking we got everything done here. Let's go ahead and do a build. Now, before I can download to it, with a new unit, I first have to install a software update image into the actual unit itself. And because the unit, I set it for DHCP and it's getting an IP address, I think it's 192.168.1.35 from my router, I can actually connect to it in a browser. But I do have to add 8080 to the end of the IP address, and that will pull up the web-based version of the recovery app. And here you can see it's asked me to drag in that file and drop it on the web page. So let me go ahead and open up that folder. And this is the software package we downloaded from IFM earlier that included the package for CODESYS. And in here, there's also an SWU. That's the software update package we need. So let me go ahead and grab that and drop it here in the web page. And in a moment, it'll start uploading. And what I'll do here is I'll fast forward the video because it takes a little while to upload. Okay, now that it's done, I'll go ahead and restart the unit. Okay, at this point, I'm ready to go in to the setup and set the IP address from what it is to what I want it to be, which is 123. So let's go in here and we will go ahead and change the IP address. And we want it to be, let's back up here. We want it to be 1.123. Okay, and we also want to change the gateway address here. Make that 1.1. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Okay, it's saved. Now let's go ahead and back out of here. And we will go ahead and click on the power button there to close setup. And now we're ready to download our application. So let's head back to the computer. Okay, and now we'll do they call it login. I call it download. Now it says there's already an application on the unit. There is, because I was testing it out earlier. Oh, and now we're getting an error. Let's see what the error is. Out of retain memory. Well, what do you do with that? Well, you can search through the web and you're not going to find an answer to this. And you can search IFM's website, you won't find an answer. I actually had to reach out to IFM and they sent me to an old set of videos they made on a previous product to tell me how to fix this. And the way you do that is you actually go to Application, right click on that. We're going to go to Properties. Then we're going to go way over here to Build. And we're going to tell it that we don't have any retained memory. So we're going to take that and put that under Ignored. Okay, so very tricky, right? So let me go ahead and click on that. And now let's see if that resolves it. Let me save. Okay, and now let me see if that resolves the issue. Yes, I'm going to overwrite what's already in it. Looking good. Excellent. Everything's looking good. I see some green over here. Now let me go ahead and hit the play button, which they call start, which I would call run. Okay. And I'm seeing lots of green over here. And if we look out here on the workbench, we can see that we have that beautiful default display showing up. So let's come back over here to RIO. Let's see if we can see if we're getting any values here. So, I get some values here. What I'm going to do is scroll through here, and I believe that this is the temperature just from my previous testing. So let me reach back here, and I'll put my hand on the temperature sensor, and yeah, you can see it going up pretty quick. Okay, it's climbing and climbing as it's getting hotter. And if we scroll down some more, I believe it's 128. That's where I have the encoder plugged into port 3. The temperature sensor's in port 1. Let me see if I turn this, if this changes. Oh, yeah. All right, good. So that was fairly easy. A couple things you have to know how to do, but besides that, that was fairly easy. Now, I would like to come back and do another episode where we go in and create some PLC code and we actually create some graphic displays, but this video is already running pretty long. So for now, that'll wrap up the initial setup and configuration of the IFM EcoMat display. It's an HMI and controller all in one. And the good news is we were able to get it all set up, and we were also able to add some Ethernet PIO to it and actually see by spinning the encoder and holding on to the temperature sensor, actually see those values come into the controller itself. And with that, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up and a sub. And if you'd like to follow me and join our community, you can do so over at automation.locals.com. And you can always find all of my affordable 5-star rated online training courses at theautomationschool.com. With that said, I want to wish you all a very safe, happy, and healthy week. And until next time, my friends, peace.